Hello everyone, I'm news anchor Mary Cachet, and today my colleagues and I are here to talk to you about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Originally, the territory contested between Israel and Palestine was under Greek rule. This lasted for nearly 3 centuries until a revolt in Judea in 165 BC established Judea as the last independent Jewish state. In 63 BC, Judea was incorporated into Jerusalem, and they knew peace for several decades until Emperor Titus intervened and put a stop to their revolt. The Jewish diaspora, the exile of the Jews, began in 70 AD after Emperor Titus destroyed the Second Temple. A few decades later, following the Jewish revolt in 133 AD, Jerusalem was destroyed and its people were sold into slavery. Several centuries following, Arab Muslims conquered Jerusalem, ended the Byzantine rule, and would reside in Jerusalem under Muslim rule until the fall of the Ottoman Empire in the 20th century. And now, for a continued origin of the conflict, Araceli Moya.
I'm Araceli Moya, here with the continued origin of the conflict. In 1897, the Zionist Congress was created in order to build a homeland for the Jews in the country of Palestine. Zionists then began to immigrate to Palestine, in the beginning 25,000 by 1903, and the number later grew to 40,000 between the years of 1904 and 1914. As the number of Zionist immigrants grew between the 1920s and the 1930s, an uproar occurred between the Arab community and the Zionist immigrants. The first major violent occurrence was in August of 1929, when 133 Jews were killed by the hands of Palestinians and 110 Palestinians died due to the British police that were stationed in Palestine. Years after this massacre, in 1936, a militant Zionist group, Irgun Zvi Leumi, began violent attacks against the Palestinians and the British, claiming to be liberating Transjordan and Palestine. 1 year after these attacks, a movement to change Palestine into an official Jewish state created larger and more violent attacks between the Jews, Arabs, and Palestinians. About 10 years later, on May 14, 1948, at 4 p.m., the State of Israel was established, creating a catastrophic land for those inhabiting it.
Thanks, Araceli. And now for Jasmine Cordoba with Palestine's role during the conflict.
The action Palestine took on Israel had a great effect on it. Palestine had no respect for Israel from the very beginning. They refused to consider Israel as a Jewish state. Also, Palestine claimed they had no religious background or Holy Land. This enraged Israel. Palestine decided to take an action and interfere personally in the affairs of the sovereign state of Israel. Doing this, the United States Secretary of State demanded the release of Palestine terrorist operatives holding Israeli citizenship. All of this over the fight of land, which eventually led to the June 1967 war. After 1949, there was an armistice between Israel and the Arab states. The conflict continued, and the region stayed imperialed by the prospect of another war. The sense of the crisis was fueled by a spiraling arms race as countries built their military catches and prepared their forces for a future shutdown. Mary, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jasmine. The landscape of the Palestine has changed drastically during the course of the Israel-Palestine conflict in the early 1920s, which would make it a conflict that has been lasting for over 90 years in length. During that time, Palestine was being occupied by both Jewish people and Arabs. Several clashes occurred between the two groups due to the Jewish National Fund purchasing land tracts from absent Arab landowners who were later evicted from their homes. This conflict increased the tensions between the Jewish settlers and the Arab tenant peasants, which led to high rates and violent confrontations. This outcome later led to religious fights between the Muslims and the Jews because their land was now divided through the Green Line division. The Jewish people of Palestine suffered great prejudice from the Muslim population, which forced elderly Jews to immigrate to Palestine. The Green Line division was an area in which Palestine was divided to the Gaza Strip to the West Bank of Israel, excluding Jerusalem. The Green Line granted the Jewish population of Palestine 25% more of land masses than the Muslims were currently occupying in 1947. The conflict continued after passing the 181 resolution by the UN General Assembly that wanted to create distinct borders for Palestine. This made it extremely difficult to create border states, but Israel felt that they could benefit from the military borders surrounding Palestine due to the overlapping militaristic regime ruling over the area. Resolution 181 decided to divide Jerusalem on the whole, leaving Palestine's borders out.
Here with us today is Lily Molly, a Palestinian living in America who has agreed to shed some light on the effects of war on Palestine. I'm Mary and I'll be conducting the interview this evening. Hi Lily.
Hi.
First, let me say thank you for agreeing to come to this interview. Now, how long has your family lived in America?
We have lived in America for about 14 years. So
What impact has your family felt personally with this war?
personally, we've had a lot of people, my dad's best friend's son has been killed by one of the Israelis. He was shot in the eye. A lot of of our family is just oppressed. They can't go to the Israeli part, or their poverty is really bad. So that's kind of.
What do you have to say about the conflict?
The conflict really impacts my life a lot because it's a part of who I am. Especially because I was born in Palestine, so if I never came back, I would have been oppressed too. I would have been living there, I wouldn't have had a voice, nothing. So it really plays a toll on my life and affects every decision I have in life.
What peacekeeping methods do you think would help to solve the conflict?
I think that I wouldn't want the wall to be built. I'd want it to stop and just be demolished. I'd also want to have all three religions live in peace, but just not oppressing anyone, not denying anybody of basic human rights, just peace and just share the country because it was before we could do it.
Is your family very involved?
Yes, we are very involved. We constantly go to protests or trying to sign petitions to get them some rights. Having kids at least go to school because school is becoming an issue because a lot of the good schools are in the areas where Palestinians can't go. Colleges and high schools, some drop out really young because they can't go there. So yeah, we play a big role. We try to go there. We help a lot, donating, just talking to people. A lot of our friends are in the politics, so they try to make it, make it at least a little bit better.
Those are some eye-opening answers. Thank you once again, Lily, for joining us this evening.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
All of us here at Geography News, I wish you a good night.